Yate, my name is Cheyenne Sky and welcome to another video. This one's a little bit special because it's actually featuring Shema, my mom, and she's going to be teaching you her recipe for how to make fry bread. So let's get started. First thing you're going to need is 5 cups of bread flour. Ideally we'd be using Bluebird, but in New York City I couldn't find any, so if you know where to get some, please leave it in the comments down below. The next thing you're going to add is baking powder, and the traditional way of measuring actually uses your hands, but for the sake of this tutorial we'll keep it modern. So add 2 tablespoons of baking powder. Then do the exact same thing with salt. So using your hands, make sure it's all mixed up. Then you're going to add a heaping tablespoon of Crisco. Squish it and make sure, again, that it's all mixed up. Now you're going to add warm water. It's sort of dependent on where you live and the altitude as to how much water you're going to need. So I left this part of the tutorial a little bit long so you can see the texture of the bread as my mom adds more and more water. It's really just something that you have to try and get used to in order to know exactly how much water you're going to need. We used around 2 cups. When you're done kneading the bread and you've gotten it to the desired texture, there's no lumps, you're going to cover it and let it relax for about 20 minutes. Letting it relax prevents the bread from getting too dense and it gives you a fluffier fry bread. So once the 20 minutes are up, you remove it from the bowl and start to work the dough with your hands to make sure that all of the air bubbles are out of the center and to just warm up the bread again. So then you take your cutting board or surface and dust it with a little bit of flour. Then you start forming your fry bread into a disc shape. The most important thing about forming fry bread is that the edges are thicker than the center. Typically with something like tortillas or something, like you make it all the same density throughout the bread, but with fry bread it's very important that the edges are thick. Depending on how big your pan is, this is going to limit you in how big you can make your fry bread. So my mom here is showing you a couple different ways to make sure that you stretch out the bread but still make sure that the edges are thicker. So it's a combination of stretching, pulling, and rolling, and as you can see, holes are fine. In fact, they make the fry bread a little bit crunchier in that area, so don't even worry about them. So next, we're going to fry the dough. Here we have about 1 inch of Crisco, hot enough to fry the bread, and it's really important to turn the fry bread as it's cooking to make sure that it's getting cooked on each side equally. It doesn't take very long, and once it's about this color, flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. And there you have it. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And thank you so very much for watching.